Hey folks, Michelle here. We're talking about Justice for Ruby today. Justice for Ruby is a group of animal advocates who are seeking justice, demanding accountability, and being a voice for Ruby the French Bulldog. Ruby was fatally shot by someone who is now facing charges of animal cruelty and weapons charges. I'm joined by Ruby's mom, Nicole Ingrafia. We're going to talk about Ruby's story and how people can help. So, welcome, Nicole. We want to share your story, which I know to every compassionate person out there, every animal advocate, especially dog moms and dog dads, will be heartbreaking to hear. And truthfully, this could happen to any of us. So, start with how are you?
Um, I will say I'm not okay. I'm as okay as I'm gonna be. It's been really sad and I miss my dog so much. It's been a lot of like unlearning the routines of coming home. I remember I went to ShopRite for the first time like last month since she passed and I put all the bags on the floor and I sobbed because I just was waiting for her little nose to be in the bag. So it's every day is something new that you experience without your best friend, and it's just like a constant reminder that she's not here. But other than that, it's we're pushing through. So thank you for asking.
Of course, and on behalf of everyone, just so sorry about this. So
Thank you.
tragic.
Thank you.
So back up a little bit. When did Ruby come to you? How old was she? Describe her personality.
Yeah, I would love to. I believe in early 2024, I was babysitting a Frenchie and I absolutely fell in love with her. The owner was like, "Be careful, you're gonna fall in love." And I was like, "Yeah." I knew that Frenchies were a big responsibility to own. I knew that they weren't ethically bred. I knew about all these things going in, and I always told myself I would never own one. I would rescue an animal from the shelter. I wouldn't contribute in the Frenchie mayhem. But after I babysat this Frenchie, she was in my lap. She was giving me kisses. I'm such an anxious person. Like I had agoraphobia for the longest time. This dog that I was babysitting was getting me out of the house. And I was like, did I just crack the code? So my husband and I really sat on it and we thought about it. We saved up our money and we got a French bulldog that looked just like the one that we used to babysit. And that was in May of 2024. So she came home for my husband's 29th birthday. Um, so we had her just a little bit over a year, and she was the silliest, goofiest, most sweetest little baby that you could ever imagine. She had us laughing so hard all the time. My husband and I, we don't have any children of our own, but my little nieces would come over. She just would lick like my niece's little baby hands. She was never aggressive. She just like had the goofiest little face. I don't know if you could see her here, but she was the light of our life, and I could talk about that for hours.
Oh my gosh. Let me show. I feel you. I know. I'm sure, talking about her is so important and it's cathartic, but at the same time, revisiting the loss every time you talk about it, I can
Yeah.
only imagine how painful that is. But I do want to share um, her photos for folks here. Okay.
Oh, my baby girl.
There she is. There she is. That little face.
My sweet baby.
Yeah. This is
That I
so
got
cool.
her photo taken for
I
her
can,
half year birthday. That's how crazy I was with her. She was
I
six
can,
months old here.
she's like a little model
I
posing.
know.
Look at those eyes. Oh, just so adore. Look at her markings. Her markings are like she's painted with
Right? It's just so
paint.
stunning.
So
Thank you for
stunning.
noticing that on her. Look at her little
Look at
curious
her
face.
little, look at this face, all alert like that,
Yes.
with her little jowls and then the little bit of like little sandy eyebrows there.
Right? I
Oh,
loved her eyebrows, my sweet girl. I could look at her for hours.
oh my God, yes. There
We
she
were
is
inseparable.
on the floor, just has to be touching, right?
Yes. Yep,
Isn't that the best?
exactly.
That's the best when our animals like they have to be within touching of us, on top of us, or some
Hmm.
way. And look at that.
Oh yeah, that was us at her birthday shoot. I was really trying to get her to stay still, and she really wasn't having it.
That helped a little bit, but
Yes,
she's probably like, what is this on my head?
I
What
know.
is happening? Uh, and and the hen costume, just
Yes. She never
adore.
got to wear that because she passed on October 3rd, but that's what but she was going to be that for
Um,
Halloween, you know what I
that was
mean?
a
So
Halloween costume.
I'm happy we got to try it on her because that was it would have been her second Halloween.
Oh, it's so heartbreaking. And I mean,
She
just
loved the sun.
look at her sitting there in the sunshine with her little leash on before she goes for a walk. Look at her
My baby.
just squinting a little bit in the
Yeah.
sun.
Our
It's
neighbors
a
have
little
chickens.
sunny.
Yep, our neighbors have chickens, and I would be like, "You want to go see the chickens?"
Oh, and she
Um,
would go over.
yep. And we slept like this all the time. Like this was I can't sleep without her. But my therapist like literally recommended me sleeping with a bag of rice on me because I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do without her,
Oh,
like on me, you
oh,
know?
she was helping.
So
She was like your therapy dog,
she really was.
your healing dog.
Yeah, she was
Um,
everything to me.
yeah, it's so true what they say, of course, about our
Mhm.
companions and how people are healthier mentally and physically because they're in
Yeah.
our lives. And look at this
Oh yeah, that was her first Halloween
funny,
costume.
funny
Um,
little girl.
oddly, I oddly love Spider-Man so much, and she had a Captain America dog tag on her, and I thought that would protect her. I was like, this will be so good for her. It's like a superhero movie, so I just think she's so cute. She was so
Oh
good.
my gosh. Well, I want everyone to look and just sort of let this into her heart, how sweet she is.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course, of course. Just close that for now. All right, Nicole. So I know it's such a mixed bag of emotions. Seeing her fills your heart, and then, but also the loss, the emptiness that follows that. But now let's get into the story of what happened to Ruby. Go ahead and tell us, what happened that day,
Yeah.
whatever you'd like to share, and then we'll go beyond that day
For
as well.
sure. So, I remember the date very vividly because it was the day of my best friend's wedding. So I was in her wedding and we had planned this wedding in like a year. And I am like the crafty friend. If I think being a bridesmaid is one of the most special things. So she went all out for my wedding. I was 1000% going to be there for her. So I made it very clear in the morning to my husband. I said, don't mess it up. You have one job, and that's bring Ruby to my mom's house to be babysat. I packed her bag. That morning, I actually didn't have any time. I opened up the cabinet and we only had dry food, and she's a little princess sometimes. And she wouldn't eat dry food for breakfast. And we didn't have any eggs. So I actually door dashed her McDonald's breakfast. Like, that's how crazy I was with her. I'm so happy that that was like her last meal that I got to give her because I saw that some people do that to their dogs, which is really ironic thinking about it and it breaks my heart. But anyway, so I was in the wedding and I wasn't even on my phone at all. I was like getting ready in the bridal suite. My husband dropped her off at my mom and stepdad's house, who also has my family dog there, Lola. So Ruby loved going over Gigi, Grandpa, and Lola's house. So we were hyping her up. We were like gonna go to Gigi, Grandpa, Lola's, and she was wiggle butt. And then, Nick dropped her off. Nick's my husband. I met him at the wedding and I was like, how did everything go? And he was like, yeah, I dropped her off. And everything went great. And then right before dinner was being served at the wedding, I was like at the table and I was with a couple bridesmaids that weren't there, and then I was with strangers. So I just was like, yeah, my baby is having her first sleepover at her grandparents tonight. And they're like, oh, like what's her name? And I'm like, oh, it's a dog. I'm like trying to like make small talk at the table. And I'm like, let me FaceTime her. So I FaceTime my mom about 7 times at the wedding table and she's not answering me. And I'm like, that's weird. She owed like 7 times, like, and I'm like, let me be in the moment that maybe she's giving her a bath or something that, grandmas do when they're having a sleepover. This is her first sleepover. So I put down my phone and then I'm looking around. My husband's not there. And then my phone is buzzing and I pick it up and it's my husband calling me. And I'm like, that's so weird. Like, where did he go? And he was like, I think you need to come outside. And At that point, I thought that he was calling to tell me that my dad had passed away because my dad is really sick with MS. So I just was like, okay, I'm gonna go out there and he's gonna tell me my dad passed away. And then he turned around and he was like, Ruby's gone. And I was like, okay, what do you mean she's gone? She ran away? Like, let's go get her. And he was like, no, like she's gone. Your mom's on the phone asking like what we want like to do with her. And I told her to bring her home. And I was like, oh my God. And I was like, what happened? And he was like, they said she got attacked by an animal and they couldn't save her at the vet. And I'm like, what kind of animal? And so we get in the car. I'm involved in this moral conflict. It's my best friend's wedding, but that's my baby. So I was like, nobody tell Audrey what happened. So I scurried out of there. And right before we left, I saw a priest and I grabbed his hand and I said, can you please say a prayer for me? My dog just died and I'm so scared. But the only thing that I was worried about was I didn't have the guts to face her in like dead. I was so scared to see her dead. I'd never have experienced that before in my life. This is my first dog. Um, so my husband and I were getting in the car. We're zooming from Spring Lake to Tom's River. And I'm just like, I'm so scared. What's going to happen when we get there? Like, I don't know. Like, so I call my real dad who's sick in Florida, and I was like, Dad, I'm so scared. I've never seen like my a dead dog before. Like I don't know what to do, and that's my dog. And he was like, Why don't you call a peacekeeper cop on the scene so he can write down exactly what happened? You seem really stressed out right now. And I was like, you know what? Okay. I'm gonna do that because I don't have any other help right now. The only two people that I would normally turn to for help are my mom and my stepdad. So I did that. I called the cops. And I waited for the cops to get there before approaching, their house. And then as soon as they saw that we had the cops with us, that's when they turned hostile. They handed us Ruby in a box and kicked us off their property and closed the door. And then I'm freezing in my bridesmaid's dress on the side of the road, and the cop is asking me if I think it's foul play. Um, they would take her for an autopsy, and if they did seem like it was foul play, they'll arrest my parents. Like depending on what they found, you know what I mean? And in my head, I'm
Mhm.
thinking they would never do this to me, ever. They watched Ruby. We were there every Sunday with them, eating, Sunday Italian family dinner. They babysat her for me while I was at work. And I was like, if it was an accident, like I would hate to that I was like, they probably had a really scary night, like dealing with whatever accident this was. So, and then I'm home, and then whatever, and then we go home, and I'm thinking, why hasn't my mom texted me? It's like, or called me, or asked me how I'm doing, or like, I never lost a dog before, so I'm calling all these people, like, I don't know what to do, like, I never lost a dog before, and then, since the wedding was at night, obviously no one could come and pick up her for cremation because I was having a whole-blown panic attack that I felt so bad we had to keep her cold. So I'm like, I don't want her to be in the garage. It's just such a weird thing to describe about like thinking about like where you're gonna put like your deceased baby. And then thank God that we couldn't find anyone to come pick her up because in the morning, Nick kept looking at her in the box. My husband, he's so brave, I couldn't look at her, and he just kept describing a hole in her face. And we kept thinking, what kind of animal could it be? Because the vet that my parents brought her to, they weren't giving us any answers because they checked her in under their names. So we weren't the owners, so we didn't get to know about what happened to her. So we did our own investigation. We brought her to her vet, and they looked at her body. They said there's no sign of road rash, therefore no car incident. There's no sign of a struggle, therefore no animal attack. He was like, we could run an X-ray, but he was like, the only thing that would show up in there would be a bullet. And he was like, and I doubt that. Who would shoot your dog of that? And then he ran the X-ray. And then that's when he found the particles. And then that's when all the cops showed up. At that point, it wasn't my investigation anymore. So that's what happened that night. Sorry that it was kind of lengthy, but I had to, lay out all the details.
My gosh, absolutely. That is so hard. That is so
Yeah.
unbelievable. It's so unbelievable. I'm sure that at the time you must have been like in such shock and disbelief. Like, how could this even be? And you know,
Yeah.
you know, and I hope you don't feel guilt because it's not because there was any reason to, but as parents, we feel that anyway, and it must have been such a holy cow,
Yeah.
just heightened sense of not knowing what to feel, not knowing what to do. So
Yeah, the guilt is insane. My first instinct was like like, okay, surely my mom's gonna leave this man now that she knows that like maybe, her own dog at home is in danger or whatever. And I'm just was very disheartened that I haven't talked to her since. She blocked me on everything. And I don't have the support of my mom, and that's who I need the most right now. There's no door open for communication. I'm completely estranged from both of them, and that's how it's going to be forever because I actually have respect for, my kid. I know that I say that like this, but Ruby really was like my kid. And I will die on this hill for her. So.
Wow.
Yeah, the guilt is there. I had a really hard time actually finding a therapist to talk to right after this happened about the guilt because obviously I'm a normal person. I would never put my dog in harm's way ever in a million years. So like the guilt that I felt was like I'm gonna start crying again, but was really scary and I just felt like I did this to her and I know that I didn't. The only fault is theirs and his. That's why he's being charged. Um, but the guilt is very prominent and it sucks. So yeah, if I could go back and do things differently, I,
Of course.
so yeah,
Yeah,
sorry.
no, there, you know what? There's no quick fix for any of those feelings, and they're
Yeah,
appropriate feelings. What you're feeling is love, right?
yeah,
That's what, they say grief is an expression of love. The
yeah,
deeper we love, the deeper we grieve. So, I
yeah.
totally get all of that, and I wish I could be there to just give you a big hug for that.
Thank
And
you.
I'm sure it's just an unending sort of nightmare in so many ways, and yet I know you're surrounding yourself. We'll talk a little
Yeah,
more about your support system and what's happening now, but I
yeah,
just want to pause and talk about, what lesson people can take away from your experience already because get with the part of the lesson is get the police involved even if you're not
yes.
sure whether they should be involved, even if you're like no. And when it comes to family especially, people have these allegiances, of course, and like, like cognitive
Hmm.
dissonance, like it can't be family, but it
Right.
can be. It's probably more often than not, very often, that animals are harmed by family members, other family.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
right, so would you tell people, if you have a weird feeling like you did and you
yes.
listen to your instincts, and thank goodness who was it that told you
My
to
real father, he lives in
your dad?
Florida.
Your dad in
Yep.
Florida. Boy, did he know the
I
things
know
to
he
say.
really
Thank
helped with,
goodness.
yes, because they got everything on body cam footage. They got everything on body cam footage from the second they walked up. And thank God they did, because imagine trying to explain that to a police officer after the fact. Like they were able to get they talked about this in open court because so I'm going to say they were able to subpoena all of his neighbors' cameras to like confirmed that his story didn't match, that she was let out to go pee pee and she was attacked by an animal. And then they were able to subpoena all the footage to realize she never left the house once. So getting the police involved as early as possible. Again, call and ask maybe any like maybe like a little bit of a wiser person for help. If you are ever unsure, just Google non-emergency police department near me, non-emergency line. Press 0, that'll bring you right to the operator, and you can say, I don't know if this is emergency or not. Like when my dad had told me about a peacekeeper cop, I called them. I said, I don't even know if you do this. And I said, it feels really silly calling, but, and then I explained my situation. No questions asked. She said, an officer will be there in 5 minutes, you know? So I'm so thankful
Wow.
for that.
Ugh, yeah. Well, you're in like survival mode at that point too. You're in like
Yeah.
fight, flight, freeze, adrenaline
Mhm.
pumping through you. So it took someone who was a little more removed from it to tell you
Yeah.
that, and then calling the professionals, the service providers who do this
Yep.
every day, and they know how to handle emergencies.
Hmm.
Thank goodness.
And
You know,
document everything. That's like my whole court case right now.
oh
Like the
yes.
reason why it's taking like till January 16th for court to happen is that they're going through all that footage, they're redacting stuff. So I'm so thankful that I had them there as like a main resource to help like break this open for me.
It all seems like the way it unfolded that like there was some, no coincidence,
Serendipitous or
there's some
something,
divine intervention, going on in
Exactly.
that way. But we want to do drive home that don't hesitate, folks. Don't be
Don't
afraid to,
hesitate.
to reach out and ask. Don't think
Yes.
any question is silly or any question is dumb. Like what's the worst that can happen? You get a no. No, we don't. Yeah,
Yes.
no, there's nothing to do. But no, that's
Hmm.
So
Exactly. Yeah, it's like you're passing an accident on the side of the road and you're like, maybe they're settling out between each other, but maybe you don't know. You call and you report the accident. And then,
right.
so do the same thing for yourself. Be your own advocate, call and report the accident.
So it's gone. So the timeline then from there that we're talking about, it went to court already. I don't know if you want to, you've been saying his name publicly and it's public
Yes, I
information.
can address him because it's
Anyway,
public.
so
Yeah.
so talk about, the Ocean County prosecutor. Well, then we'll talk about Rally for Ruby and,
Yeah.
Justice for Ruby and that kind of thing too. But where is the court, what happened from there legally?
For sure. So he had his detention hearing earlier. He was arrested on November 3rd. So he was arrested exactly 1 month after the crime was committed. And I called that police department every day. You know what I mean? I was my own baby's advocate. I was like, "Hi, hi, detective. It's Nicole again. Just wanted to follow up." So they were great, and they didn't risk like showing their cards before they arrested him, and they kept in touch with me every step of the way. And they seized all the weapons from his home. I know a lot of people were asking about if he had weapons at home. They were seized. You can read the articles about what they found, which is a shock to me, being his stepdaughter. And the prosecutor office has been amazing. I really want to share some information that they shared with me, but I don't know if I can due to the integrity of the case. But the first hearing is going to be public January 16th at Ocean County Courthouse, where he will be, I believe, offered a plea deal. No, a plea deal has not been made, and if one has been made, they'll come to me to let me know. But they did let me know what the plea deal would be, and I am very happy about it. I will say that. Like I was like, so they anticipate it. I don't want to say like if he doesn't accept the plea deal, probably naturally it would go to trial. So it seems like they're doing their job, and all the emails that everybody is sending are helping. They said that, a lot of people say like emails don't help the case or whatever. They said that at this
They
point
do. They do
they
help. They
do.
do.
They're
They
printing them
do.
all out and they're putting them in a binder in case this goes to trial. So those community impact statements, a lot of people are asking, how can I help? I don't have a GoFundMe. I don't, this is not like a, serving platform for me. How can you help? Sure, send an email to the prosecutor. That's the biggest ask I can do is take 5 minutes to send that email. Share Ruby's story, but also look in your community and see what other babies like have maybe been a victim of this. I just saw in my community this poor dog Bo was shot on um, Thanksgiving, and I want to see how I can help bring that to
Mm.
fruition. So I don't want any money from anybody at all. I just want awareness. I want an email, please. Um, and just to be more hands-on with this stuff, because I wasn't hands-on with this at all until it happened to my dog, and I never want to do that again. I want to
Yes,
be
yes.
hands-on in every capacity for everything that means something to me. You know what I mean?
Oh, in so many ways, that is so heartbreakingly beautiful in some ways too, that this is Ruby's legacy through
Yeah.
you, this is the turning it into what good can be done, what can be prevented. Imagine if out of this there's prevention of terrible crimes like this.
Right?
That would be
Right?
amazing. And I want to add to, you're talking about some of the calls to action here and
Mm.
how people can actually help right now, even handwritten letters, because I've been part of
Yes.
as an activist, even sometimes those are even more impactful, taking the time to write it out and mail it. They are looked at. I think the judge has to look at those. So talk
Yeah.
about, just recently this past week, there was a rally for Ruby at the Ocean County Prosecutor's Office. And I think you, along with friends and allies of yours, caring people, have formed Justice for Ruby. People can find it on, where can people find Justice for Ruby? On
Yeah.
Facebook or other social media platforms?
Yeah, so it's Justice for FOR Ruby on Facebook, same thing on Instagram. And then she has a website, justice, the number four, ruby.com. And I am just so thankful for the community that Justice for Ruby has built. A lot of these people, basically, the people who formed Justice for Ruby, I only met through Ruby, and they have guided me, made me aware of the companion animal rights and their mission, and what laws are currently enacted now, what could possibly change. And they really have guided me on this more than anyone I could have ever like
Mhm.
imagined. I was really nervous to make it public because this is a very deeply traumatizing personal story to me.
Oh,
So
personal.
I was very nervous to make this public because I was like nervous about people thinking that that I dropped her off to somebody that I didn't trust, which is not the case at all. But I was nervous about that. I was nervous about just having my whole life be on display that like I was betrayed by my whole family. And but that was the best thing I could have done was get that confidence boost from those amazing group of women. Um,
Mm.
and I love that my husband's right on board right there with me. He misses Ruby so much. That was his literal daughter. He has done just as much as me, but he's a little camera shy. So he is out picking up donation bins from all because we're doing like stock to shelters for Christmas. So yesterday he spent all day in his truck picking up massive bins of donations. So it's just like a group effort because if we don't stay busy, I think we'll crumble. So we're
Yeah.
just like
Oh,
trying to stock the
absolutely.
shelters. The rally idea again, that I would have never thought of that by myself, and I do marketing for a living. So when it comes to like my own stuff, I kind of freeze. Um, so I was so grateful for the guidance and stuff like that because again, you don't want to piss off the people who want to deliver the justice. So I was like, are they going to be mad at us in front of the prosecutor office? So I called the prosecutor office like 5 times that week. I was like, are you going to be mad at me? And they were like cracking up. They were like, you're so sweet. No, we're not mad at you. So
Yeah.
so it was like a very brave, I don't want to call, give myself a adjective or, a description where I don't like calling myself brave, but that was probably the bravest thing I've done was just throw myself in there, and I couldn't have done it without the support.
Yeah, I certainly give you props for that, even though you would rather, of course, not be in this situation at all. I
I
mean,
would just rather be home on Christmas with my
no,
dog,
with her
dude.
on
It's
your lap. Yeah, I mean
yeah.
that's a given. Nobody seeks this out, and it's not about that, and totally. But at the same time, you as a person grow. We as a person grow when we start speaking up for animals. I've just noticed that I'm not the same person either. Just in general, you have a bigger cause, and it calls forth in you strengths and characteristics that might have stayed dormant. So I'm sure your first instinct was to isolate and be quiet about
Yeah.
it because you're feeling so vulnerable. And
Mhm.
all you need on top of feeling vulnerable is more criticism. Like who needs criticism on top of already feeling pain, and
Thank you.
vulnerability. So it is bold. It is. You can embrace that word. It was bold to put yourself out there.
Thank
And
you.
you've learned, like I've been learning as well, when you start to speak up for animals about the laws. And who knew? Otherwise, this is like the only thing, unfortunately, is a tragedy, or when people feel, compassion for animals, then they start to learn. And animal
Yes.
cruelty laws are different state by state. I'm sure there are
Hmm.
federal overarching laws, but it's really up to the states to
Yeah, to
enact their
implement those
law.
punishments. Yep.
Yeah, so in New Jersey, we were saying, and people can look it up, that there's pretty strict compared to other states, I guess, pretty strict animal cruelty laws. But where New Jersey stops is they have not put on the books that animals are still uh, legally
Property.
treated as property, like furniture, like
Mhm.
something that you own that has a value, a price
A
tag.
monetary value. Yep.
Yes, so that's why you can steal a dog or, destroy someone's property is more how
Yep.
it's looked from the legal point of view. Is that what else have you learned? I know you're
Yeah.
still learning.
I'm learning so much, and I know that there's a lot of different angles to go down, like that animal rights and companion animal rights, they ebb and they flow in together. So educate yourself on those two things is what a lot of my peers have been telling me to do, and I love learning about. I didn't know that there was even a difference. And I've been also learning about like when I was filling out my form for my victim impact statement, it said to like list the monetary value of what was damaged and having to explain that, my best friend in the world was damaged, but she costed us $2,800 and it said like, monetary value now, like priceless, priceless. So I think that if they had stronger punishment, that people would think before hurting an animal more. Kind of, I know that doesn't really stop like murderers and all this stuff from happening, but just maybe just to show that it's more than a slap on the wrist and that you're not going to get away with this. We can help other animals like from it not happening to them, you know?
Yeah, absolutely through this.
Yeah.
That's maybe what we hope, that's what we want to stay hopeful about in terms of the broader implications and
Hmm.
importance of this. It's putting it in that bigger scope that wouldn't life be so different for animals? It would be so different for all of them if they were declared, all animals were declared what they are, which is someone, not something.
Yes.
They are
Yeah.
sentient. They are only different in that they're different species. Otherwise, they are the same. They feel the same things.
Hmm.
Same
Yep.
things, same fear,
If
same
not more, because
cruelty.
they don't speak.
Yeah.
Like I just feel like they absorb everything and they feel so much deeper than us.
Yeah.
It disgusts me that people could ever hurt an animal.
Yeah. Unbelievable. It isn't. Anyway, it's a whole other
Yes, we
you have
could go on a whole
you have to
different
have a
podcast.
certain amount of sociopathy, sociopath, or a
Yes.
psychopath who will hurt animals, and they show that those are early signs for later in life hurting
Mhm.
humans as well.
Yep.
Violence starts early, and violence begets more violence,
And then it escalates. Yep.
and then it escalates in that way. And I'm sure, as you said, when you've been investigating this and doing your own research, it's very
Hmm.
much correlated to domestic abuse as well. Often,
Absolutely.
domestic abuse, the house, of course, bleeds into, no pun intended, animals in the house are not safe either. They're in danger too, and they're often hurt.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. When this happened to me, I had to call the Providence House here in Ocean County to have a little course on the phone about the abuse cycle because I've been
Mhm.
really impressed with our like law enforcement and resources. And I'm sorry if everyone not hasn't had the same opportunity or experience. I would love to like get involved and help other people get like a similar experience as I did because I felt like they took care of me. Yeah, they did actually encourage me to take the abuse cycle course, and it made me kind of see things from a different perspective that I didn't realize that this was even like a precursor, like animal abuse and domestic abuse lived together. So like
Yeah,
I said, the resources they've given me have really been phenomenal, and I'm trying to take them and spread as much as I can.
that's always very helpful education. Unfortunately, we have to educate ourselves around this, but this is the world we live in with people who are
Yeah,
just sort of broken. People are broken in their own ways,
yeah, and we
but
can't
no
fix them, but we can
can't fix
speak
them,
for the
or do we
people
need to
who
make
are hurt.
excuses? But right, for the voiceless, for animals especially who can't fight back, who
Hmm.
can't can't speak up, who with whom they speak a language that we don't exactly understand, and we speak a language that they don't understand. So
Hmm.
it's all what a big learning experience. So I want to circle back, talk a little bit about your grief, and then, we'll give some sort of final words and messages here, as we're, talking to people about this. But, the grief that you're experiencing, is complicated and mixed with shock and disbelief, disorientation and anger and for you coping, with that, honoring your emotions, but also coping and having to focus every day on getting shit done in your life
Yeah.
and not just staying under the covers, even though I'm sure you want to. Is there anything you want to share for pet parents who are grieving or will
Yeah.
grieve? Every parent at some point will grieve, unfortunately.
Yes,
Well,
yes. I am no stranger to grief. My first ever, like, I won't go into too much detail, but like 3 years ago, I had a really bad grief scenario where my grief was manifesting as like gastro symptoms. So now that this really traumatic event happened, those gastro symptoms are still happening. I grieve, and I throw up every morning. I just was in the hospital for a stomach ulcer. So if you don't let your grief out, like and you tuck it in, it's going to manifest differently. So my advice to you is just to grieve. Let people come over. My friends came over while I was at the police station, and I really told them not to, but they literally like busted into my house. They put all of Ruby's stuff into my garage so I wouldn't have to face coming home to her bowl and stuff like that. Let people come over, let people help. No one knows what to do in these scary times, and they just want to be there for you. Don't isolate yourself. Try to go to work. I try to go to work for like every day after it happened. I left work crying every single day, but just try. One of my best friend's mom said to me, Ruby wouldn't want a sad, stinky mommy. You got to take a shower. Soldier up a little bit. So I've been trying to soldier up, but give yourself grace and just let people be there for you. That's my biggest piece of advice because it's the hardest
Yeah.
thing to do, I think, is to accept help.
Let people in, right?
Yep.
When we need it the most, and often we want to put on a strong face and we don't want to
Yeah.
make other people uncomfortable. And so, so it's a lesson in that, certainly as well.
Absolutely.
Well, I forgot to ask you about the media. You've gotten some media, a lot, a little bit, local media. So tell me how the role of media is playing, can play, and what your
Yeah.
thoughts on that.
So I worked in like PR and stuff like this. So in terms of like getting the word out, it's a little bit again, hard to put yourself out there and share your story. But I called News 12. I know a lot of people called and also to share the news of this story. I actually pitched the story to Asbury Park Press myself. So they
Good
picked it
job.
up initially when it happened. So I was really trying to do my own push on the side as soon as his records of his arrest got out. That's when I was like, "Hi, my name is Nicole. Like, I was a victim of this crime." So I did do my own little PR push myself, and the response from the media has been really great. It really just depends on what is going on in the news every day. So if
True.
you're on my side of things and you want your story out, you can call the news one day and they'd be like, sorry, like we don't have time for it today. Just keep calling, keep emailing. Someone's going to pick up your story. And if you need any help getting the word about your abused baby, like you come to me and I'll help you. Like we'll be okay.
Mm.
So it just really you have to just working at it every day to get the media there. And then if it fits in their schedule, they'll be there, they'll cover it.
That's why they're there and they're looking for stories.
Yes.
They're looking for stories.
Exactly. Yeah, they're here for the
Yeah.
community. So I
They're
hope
here
that I
for the
could
community.
go national. I saw a couple on TMZ. Their dog was being babysat, and it passed away, and they got cremated, and they never got answers. So I saw them on TMZ, and I'm thinking about them, and I've been looking into their story. So I would love for Ruby's story to get a similar attention, but I'm just thankful for any attention. Again, this is not like a self-serving thing. I just want her to get justice. I want accountability. Everyone keeps asking why this happened. I'm the first in line to want to know why. I have no idea why my parents would ever do this to me. And part of grieving is wanting to know why. So I'm the first in line for wanting to know why. So I'll put whatever pressure I can on them. So that's kind of
Mhm.
the reason for all of this. People are like, why are you having a rally? Why is your justice? He was arrested. Like, what's the point? I want to know what the heck happened to my girl.
Yeah.
And even if I'm the last one on earth, I will still be there holding a sign, like wondering why. So that's kind of like encompassing this whole thing. I'm very grateful for the people like wanting to prosecute him and everything like that. But again, at the end of the day, my parents betrayed me more than and I was supposed to trust them more than anyone else. And I want to know what happened to my best friend that night. And it's been over 2 months and I still don't know, and it haunts me. So that's kind of the whole backbone of this campaign is making sure her life mattered, making sure this doesn't happen to any other baby, and get accountability from those people.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's your driver.
That's my
You
driver.
are embodying Ruby right now and what she wants or what she would say, and for yourself. And, on some level, seeking healing and closure, there really won't be completely healing and
Yeah,
closure.
I
But at the same time, you wanting answers, you deserve certainly answers. And now being part of a new community of people who are her victims, unfortunately, but what a thread, what a common thread that you have now, with
yeah,
people who are probably equally feeling as vulnerable, but equally trying to find something in this
yeah.
to let shine forth that can help others, that will pay forward.
Hmm.
Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Yeah, I know it's so hard. I've talked to so many people who have been victims of like a similar thing, and I'm like, I'm so sorry that we're part of this sisterhood. It tends to be women I speak to, or brotherhood. Like we shouldn't be part of this, but like we could work together and make changes. So I feel like nothing happens when you do it solo. So I think it's so great that you wanted to talk to me today. As soon as I got word from Pat that you were interested in speaking to me and hearing Ruby's story.
Yeah.
Um, just out of my mind with excitement because I could talk about her all day. So thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Oh, I'm happy to do it. And so, we want people to share this,
Yes. Yeah,
share
share this,
all the
share Ruby's
things.
story. Write to the prosecutor and just keep your eye out. Like when you're
Yeah.
scrolling through and you see a dog on your feed that's been abused, like just repost it. Take 1 second out of your day to help share that story because you never know what you're contributing
Yeah.
in terms of getting that person justice. So again, this
People
is
can they
after
can
this.
Google because
Yes,
the media coverage is still obviously it's out there forever
yes,
now, so people can always
yes.
Google it and share that as well.
Exactly. News 12, Ruby the French Bulldog with a simple Google search that'll come right up. And again, justiceforruby.com. All of her news articles will be posted on there. I have New York Daily News posted on there, her Asbury Press feature on there. You can find, I'll put this podcast on there once it's out. So it'll be good. It'll be, just keep sharing and spreading the word and stay tuned for January 16th. That's when court is. So I'll keep everyone
Yeah.
posted.
And if they want to donate, do they donate through you to it's going to shelters, I understand, in
Yeah,
different
so
spots.
if they wanted to give any donations, I'm just collecting items for the shelter. If you go on the Justice for Ruby Facebook page, you can see an Amazon link where people can make monetary donations to the shelter. I don't touch the money, I don't see the money. If they wanted to buy like a Justice for Ruby sweatshirt, the person making the sweatshirts for me, of course, needs
Mhm.
to buy the supplies and make the sweatshirt, but the rest of the money is going to Friends of Southern Ocean County, um animal center near me, which is they have adoptable dogs and cats and they take good care of the community and do right by the animals. So I want to give back to them. So that's the whole mission. I don't want any money from anybody at all. I just want to give back and keep going.
Hmm. Yeah. So can you show her photo just one last time?
Oh my
Her
gosh,
little,
yes, there's so many. That's me and my husband and Ruby.
oh,
That's my girl. Oh, that's my girl.
her
She was
sitting
our
with
little
me.
shotgun rider,
Yeah, a little co-pilot.
my little birthday girl. Yeah, she was our best friend. Thank
Dear
you.
Ruby, we love you. So thank you. All right. So I guess in closing, I just want to encourage everyone to support justice for Ruby and to advocate loudly for animals and to intervene directly and or report when you see animal abuse. And I'd
Yes.
be remiss if I didn't point out that all animals are Ruby, in that every animal has a personality, self-awareness, and a will and a right to live free from harm. Take your empathy and widen your circle of compassion to include farm animals and more. Please go vegan for them. Thank you, folks, very much. Thank you, Nicole.
Thank you for having us. What a beautiful statement. You just encouraged me to go vegan. I'm gonna thank you. Oh, I have goosebumps. Thank
I'm
you so
happy
much.
to support you with that. Thank
So
you.
powerful. Thank you, Michelle.
You're welcome.